We're going to talk about Tegmark's Life 3.0 Part 3. And the focus here is on breakthroughs, bugs, laws, weapons, and jobs. Right? So if we take the now and we start to look at the breakthroughs, he's coming. This comes from a marriage of the kind of the Google and DeepMind, where we kind of witnessed the DeepMind AlphaGo systems, overcoming the hurdle of deep learning and defeating the world champion of Go. And the significant example was when the AI made a move that defied centuries of human intuition. And that move was credited with being the reason for the AI winning. And this certainly appears to demonstrate intuitive, creative, and strategic decisions. However, we should note that it is still in a very narrow range, all right? So that it's not. But then he also talks about, let's say, Google Translate, and he says now Google Translate, in a similar vein, has also extended what we're seeing in terms of learning. So he says, look, so what we see now is that the system can learn, it can accomplish and do things, and it actually can look at things from a heuristic fashion. And this is important because heuristics, well, we're going to put that aside as our kind of a notepad item that we'll be looking at in other YouTubes. So then he jumps from there and talks about the near future. Okay, so those are the breakthroughs that have made him think that it's reasonable. But now let's look at some of the things he thinks happening in the near future. And the bugs is, how can we make AI more robust and less hackable? Right, this is a big issue. All right, because safety is one of our big concerns. All right, and up until now, right, the few enough and limited accidents so that the harm was outweighed by their benefits in terms of our technology. But this was because we also used a reactive rather than a proactive. And he says we can't do that anymore. We can't optimize the technology after the fact. We're going to have to get some kind of control of it beforehand. And he has a four-step process that he recommends we do. One is verification, where we look at, did I build the right system? The other is validation, which is, did I build the system right? All right. I'm sorry, the other way around. But security is where I balance privacy and security. And the fourth item is control. Did I provide some kind of human policy management, or the ability for humans to get some kind of influence in the system? So from there, he says, okay, let's look at the growing impact of artificial intelligence on the economy. And so he starts with things like finance, manufacturing, transportation, hospitals, drugs, electricity or energy, and communication. And he says, let's take all of those systems and we have to look through the lens of our four basic criteria: validation, verification, security, and control. So we have to bundle those into our new AI methodology, which doesn't have the optimization stage, and that's how we have to start to look at all of our political, economic, and social institutions. So that's the growing impact. So then he says, all right, now let's look at laws. How should we handle laws, or how should laws handle autonomous systems? And he talks about what he calls the robotic judge. And he says that, with this, we can apply the rules. Certainly, it seems like they can be less biased. They can have the latest knowledge, so that gives them an advantage. Right? That way they would be more efficient and more fair. And if you think about it, it gives us a chance to deliver Rawls's idea of the veil of illusion. And then he says, what about the content? We have to be concerned also about the content with regards to the law, and the content with regards to things like autonomous vehicles, who's responsible for an accident. Things like, if it owns land, or do we make them a slave? Can the AI own land? And how do we pay attention, or what do we deal with the AI's ability to predict things using its heuristic capabilities? So these are issues that the law has to deal with. And then he says, now he gets into weapons. He says, should we start a military AI arms race? And he basically says, that we now have the capability with drones, but we really need to keep a human involved. We have to have a human involved in the what's called human in the loop. And then he talks about, can we design ethical weapons that will only target certain people? And he feels that that's a non-event. And what he really says is that what we really need is to get the AI autonomous weapons to have a ban on them, just like the chemical and biological weapons have bans on them, and nuclear. And then the next thing he looks at is jobs. And he says, what jobs get automated first, and what careers should kids pursue? And this is all that, don't forget, we're in the new or in the near future. And he says, we still have this idea that we see purpose in what we do. So the challenge that we face is that all of the skill jobs are all moving over to robotics, and all of the knowledge jobs are moving over to the computers with an artificial intelligence. So what's left? What can we do? And he says, he thinks that we should focus on four major areas. All right, if the job requires substantial social interaction, then we'll probably keep it. If it creative, clever solutions, or unpredictable environment, I'm sorry, those three areas that he thinks would, in terms of the jobs world, would keep us going. Now, how can we make low unemployment society flourish when they have artificial general intelligence? And he says we're still going to face the idea of the great disparity, and we're going to have to figure out how we're going to deal with that. One of the things he also talks about in terms of needs, and he talks about basically if the computer is doing everything, or AI is doing everything, psychological and safety needs, we're going to have to focus on things that related to love and belonging, esteem, and self-actualization. So this is what he sees as the challenges and the issues regarding the near future. Thank you.